Hello, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at making Power Apps easier. Uh, Taking your app idea or the project that you have to finish and make it much easier to make progress and to finish that project. And I included my favorite Power Apps meme as a thumbnail for today, um, which when I first started out with Power Apps, um, after I started to realize what was capable with it, I'd get all excited and then I'd get in there and try to accomplish what I'm trying to do. And it never really seemed as easy as it was presented to me at first, especially having a developer background, which sort of tripped me up in a few ways because development inside of Power Apps is more Excel-like or declarative than imperative type of coding that I was used to. So let me show you some examples of what I mean by making things easier. Um, so whenever I start on a new project, I always work from a template. Now, if you're familiar with my YouTube channel and you've been over to my playlist, I do have a whole playlist on my channel about building your own template. And I go over how to add much of the features that I have in my Jumpstart kit. Now I'm about to release a new version of the Jumpstart kit instead of just version 1. This will be 1.5, and it's going to have all of these features that you're going to be seeing today. But if you're not using my Jumpstart kit, I would at least recommend that you build your own and put all the great things in here that you know that you'd probably want to have in any application that you build with Power Apps. And right away, I'm going to share with you something that is really exciting for me to show you guys, which is my GitHub repository here. So if you go to this link within, well, I say this link. I'll get that link there, and I will put it here in the chat so everybody can get to it. Now, what do I have here? I wanted to share my little snippets that I add to my applications. So, for example, if you go over to app formulas, here's a lot of things that I would add to an application. Let's say if I wanted all the icons, within Power Apps, you've got this icons enumeration. Okay. So you've got well, let me zoom in here. Let's see how much I can zoom in without it being too big. There we go. So you've got an icon control, and its icon property you can set to icon. And when you type dot, you're going to get IntelliSense with 147 icons as of the other day. Okay. And I go on to explain it's just an enumeration. And we have other enumerations in Power Apps like color and font and alignment and screen transition, a lot of things like that. But let's say for colors and icons, it could be a little tedious remembering all the icons, their names, which ones you like, all that type of thing. Well, I had an idea, which was to take it a step further, and you take all those individual items and define them as a collection in your app formulas. So you might want to know the sequence or have some type of a sort order. So you'd have the name of the icon itself. So if I scroll down here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is what I would put in my app formulas. And I just call it FX icons. So I could say FX icons. And if I wanted to get at the icon, I would get, so these square brackets indicates that this is a collection. And these curly braces indicate that it is a record. And if we scroll all the way down here within GitHub, this page, you see that, did I say 148, 178? Not only that, but I used AI to create tags in here. So 3D printing, additive manufacturing, rapid prototyping, 3D modeling, fabrication. So you could display all of your icons on a screen, and you could filter and sort. So I sort, as you can see here, on the sequence number, but you could sort it by all of the names of the icons. All right. So I've got a lot of things in here that will make app development easier right here from, and I'm releasing this under an MIT license, which means you got full permission almost to do whatever you want with it. It's a very popular type of open source licensing that you'll see out there on GitHub, or other places. GitHub isn't the only open source repository, of course. So this would put all of your icons in a collection, and you would just paste this in your app formulas. And then I've got another one here, all icons in a gallery. Okay, so here's a gallery defined with some things in here. So let's look at an example of that, which is something like this. So we could just look through all the icons here on the screen. Isn't that sort of cool? I think so. All right. So all kinds of things like this that I believe makes Power Apps easier to work with and to develop apps within Power Apps. So I'm going to go over some screens and some new features that I've added to this. What about random people? Have you ever needed some random people in your application? Now, I'm a little surprised I got duplicates there. I've added some code to make sure there's no duplicates, and it's based on a timer. So I might need to increase the time for that. So I have it create 40 images, and you might need some sample photos of people. Now, these people literally don't exist. They're created with artificial intelligence. So now let's see what we've got here. So we're looking at a collection called Random People. What do we have in here? It's a URL to a website called This Person Does Not Exist. All right. And this is a timer over here. Now I've got this set up for 350 milliseconds. Let's make that 400 milliseconds. How about that? And I'm going to take a look at the on timer start. And I was only looking for 40. So if it's after 40, it won't try to add any more. And then it turns off the timer. But I also add, I've got a named formula within my app formulas. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'll go to my app formulas and I'll do a Control F and go find that. And as you can see here, this person does not exist.com. So it just grabs that URL. So I don't want to have to remember what this URL is or have to type in the HTTP : whack whack, all that type of stuff. So it refers to that. It gets the URL and then it adds a little ID on here that is completely separate. I don't know that this is really needed. What I've noticed is if you try to get these images very quickly, let's say 20 milliseconds, we could create this collection very quickly. If I click on this button, it resets it, clears out the collection and starts all over again. And you'll probably see a lot of duplicates here. And what I do is let's put this up to 300, and I think that's going to work just fine. Yeah, say I still see duplicates. Now I was using 350 and that was working fine. Let me use 400 here. Now I wouldn't recommend having a gallery that generates these images of all these people's faces, and then what you'd want to do is after you have all these, actually save them in a SharePoint document library. And these images, now they look small, but if we were to add an image here, and we were to set this to fill, grab the name of the gallery, and use it for this image. So the gallery dot selected dot value. Is that it? Yeah. So these images are actually much bigger than they appear to be. So what you could do is, I don't know that I'd want to store these as base 64 text. So that's why I was bringing that up, to sort of seeing how big they were. The only reason you'd want to go with a base 64 string representation of an image is if it's relatively small, compressed, it's not that big. Otherwise, it might slow down your data operations on that SharePoint list, okay, or database table. All right, so what are some of the other things? Well, I've got quite a few things to show you guys today of examples of how things like this that you can do to make Power Apps easier to work with and faster, and might I say fun. And I wanted to wait a few minutes to mention this, but I've got a surprise, something to share with you guys. So it looks like, hey, Mark, thanks for joining me this morning. Yeah. I do have a secret promo code for my upcoming certification 5-day course. And I'm only sharing it here for people who watch my live streams. There's only a subset of my viewers that actually watch my live streams. And, with these live streams go 2 or 3 hours, I don't blame anybody for not wanting to watch that much of me. But software development does take time. So you're going to have a degree of patience while doing development or learning. Just going through creating a screen, could take 2 or 3 hours. And a lot of people have told me that they do appreciate that because they actually see me live, perhaps making mistakes or coming across errors myself. So they don't think that it's just them when they come across things like that. So I will share this over here. So this is a link. We do have a 5-day course coming up. Hey, Badijo, hopefully I pronounced your name right. Hello to you. Now, if you click on this link, it's going to take you to this landing page, and there is an early bird special for this, but I created a promo code and I've made it available. So if you go out here and use this promo code, you will get it to $297. Okay, so for 5-day class where I guarantee that you're going to pass your PL 900 exam, if that's worth it to you, I would definitely take advantage of that. And that promo code should only work today. I need to ask my marketing manager, Martha, and see how long that's. But I think she said by just this weekend. So it is out there for you guys to use, and that is the announcement that I had to make now. Here, yeah, I posted this this morning, 4 hours ago, and that is what I was the promo code. That was the announcement that I'm going to make. there. So now you guys know that. All right, let's look at some of these other screens. So I did have a tab screen here. So if I click on this, this is the tab screen I have. Now I've actually gone in here, ripped out the rectangles and put in, made these all from containers. Now these are all using classic controls. Now if you click on this link here, it goes to another screen where I'm using modern controls. Okay, and the modern tab control. So if you like the modern look, that's there as well. If you want to have an approval workflow, now you probably noticed that there's some improvements even to the menu. Now within Canvas Power Apps, you always need to make sure if you have a menu or a spinner, you always need to make sure they're on top whenever you add any new controls to a screen. I've also improved these screens. See this header bar up here? It used to have like a generic icon there for every screen. So now, if any screen you try to go to, there's an icon for the menu, it snatches up that icon and it puts it right there. So if I go to video training, here's all the video training that I have built into the Jumpstart kit. So this video is going to show you how to use the Jumpstart kit, the differences between this Jumpstart kit and I'm calling it the Jumpstart Kit 2.0, and it's based on community input. So if you guys have ideas for any new features to throw into the to that Jumpstart kit, we add those every Monday evening at 4 p.m. EST, and we typically go to 6:30. And we just keep adding more and more features. If you want to see an example of that, I'll go ahead and bring this up. So I've renamed them. So this one is called 1.5, and the one I'm about to bring up is 2.0. I'll show you what that looks like. And what else do I have? I added a lot of these screens to the menu now. And I added a screen here, pertinent links. So if you wanted to have a listing of links like this, and it will display an image of that website. So if I just click on this, it should bring up the website. Yeah, there we go. So if you click on the URL up here, it would bring that up. Now notice that this particular screen is not on the menu. I didn't want to have every screen on the menu, but if I go to video training, it looks very similar to this one. It says you click on these different videos, so you could end up making some type of a training app for your company where you've got a listing of videos off to the side, and you use the video control. Yeah, the video control, and set up the media to look at the URL that you have defined within that gallery. Yeah. Okay, so what are some other cool things that makes things easier within Power Apps? Now, I'm also going to ask you guys if you have anything that you find challenging within Power Apps, any suggestions that any tips and tricks that I could provide to make that easier, or maybe I could create a code snippet that would make it easier. Let me know. Okay. Now I started to build onto this screen a little bit. So I'm going to come back to that one. Now here's a blank screen. If you don't want to have anything on a screen, you just want to start from a clean, pristine screen, but it still has the menu and everything in there. That's the purpose of that one. Somebody asked for an approval workflow type of screen. So if you notice, you could go over here and add a screen, and there's one down here called, I think I just passed it up actually. Did I? Oh, there it is, right there. I was looking for these circles and stuff. Now I've tweaked this a little bit, made it a little nicer and easier to work with. So this is a gallery, and of course it's using modern labels. And we have this new modern control called a badge. It's a badge control, which is just like a circle or rounded corner rectangle that will display either a letter or multiple letters here. And then you notice what Microsoft did with that screen template is they put this little line here, which is just a rectangle. Yeah. All right. So here is the screen with tabs. Here's the screen with the modern tabs. Of course, you always want to have an app admin screen. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put some buttons here as if this was a springboard or a dashboard to go off to other screens that only app admin should have access to. Here's this icon choice screen that I showed you at the beginning. Now, there are quite a few things I've included, so you can do the same thing if you're building out your own template. Okay, so if you want, there's all these icons in a collection. Okay, and if you want them in a gallery, you could use that. Here is a code snippet I got from Matthew Devaney, and let's look at his post out here on LinkedIn. So he had this out here. This is great. App Formulas is I'm so glad that they gave us that feature. And he uses starts with to see if we're in the studio as a developer. So essentially you just have to use something like this, and then you can, if there's something that you only want to have happen for you, the developer, you could use this, or vice versa. If you only want something to happen for somebody's running it as a user, you can check to see if that is false. Let me see if I can change any of these settings here on my video camera, because I think it's a little, I need to upgrade my computer, I think. All right. And by the way, I'm going to show this code here to get the 5-day PL $297. Five SPL D10. Here we go. And I will include that link here. Okay. All right, what else can we do here? So I showed you the random people. Now I believe I have that over here somewhere. I have a YAML example where I define all of my menu items. So these are typically the fields that I set up within my menu structure for Power Apps. And just did something weird here. Let me go back to my snippets. There we go. I thought we had, so there's quite a few things here in the app formulas. If you want to know what the root SharePoint site is for your tenant, if you use this YAML code, you could paste this in here and it will actually give you the link. So I can copy that code. Let me go to a new screen and show you what this looks like. I'm going to paste in the code there. And let's see what error I have here. I might need to update something. You definitely have to have the Office 365 users connector. Click on connectors. Here it is right there. Let's add that guy. Okay. All right. Now, so this label shows me what that link is, and it's telling me, hey, if you want to add this to your app formulas, this is what you'll need to put in there. And I think I already have it there. This is a screen where I wanted to put some dialog boxes, any type of pop-up windows that are set up and configured that you can easily copy and paste on other screens. So I've got one, if you want to gather some information, maybe put a text box here or something. You've got an OK and a cancel. I'll say, please enter more information. And then over here, this would be a better error message, I think, than having something at the top that disappears really quick. So this thing would sit there until the user actually hits OK. And something else I'll do for the font color, I'll use color.maroon or some type of a red color there. Now, what are we using for this label? Is that maroon? Yeah, it is. In my opinion, sometimes maroon looks better than a pure red. But, yeah. All right, what about badges? This is sort of cool. Let me go to the home screen because I'm actually using badges here on this home screen. Check this out. So I used to have like a little label in a faint light gray color that would show the version. And I came across this repository. And let me see if I can find exactly where it's at. I'll share with you guys where I found this at. Let's go into other cool stuff. Yeah, it's just badges. Okay, so I'm going to click on badges here and click on repositories. And I always like to sort this based on stars. So it shows you what's most, popular here. So I'm going to click on shields. And I'm going to scroll down. And you see all these little shields or badges. I think these would look very nice in Canvas Power Apps. So if you want to display some information, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do here. Doesn't that look nice? So if you can imagine inside of a gallery, a listing of records, and you might want to, point out that this particular record is inactive, or it's going to be deleted soon, or, something that you might want to direct the user's attention to. I like what they did here with this 5-star rating. So here it says make your own badges. Here's a quick example. So let's actually take a look at this. This looks like the color. We could define the color and a hexadecimal number there. That's sort of cool. Let's see what this thing looks like. Okay. I like that. So what I've done in my app, in the app formulas, is, yeah, here's a badge. So I pass in one string, a second string, and then a color string. And it puts these things together and returns that. Now, if I were to look at this, left, right. So if I go back over here, notice for these, now these are image controls. And there we go. You see that I use my user-defined function that I put in at formulas. And I got something here called at version. I put it in V, and I said blue. Now, it looks like, I wonder if I could say, so we got RGB, so we say 0000FF. That should be a blue. Wow, look at that. It's like really blue. You can also say things like Alice Blue, any name of a web color. Okay. Now, how do you know what web colors are out there? Well, we do have an enumeration called color. That's actually called just that, color. And here's the 140 web colors that we have to work with. So if I said thistle, that's not going to work. But if I put this in quotes, and I think it also expects it to be all lowercase. Yeah. So that might make sense for me to put inside the function. So I could say blue here, and notice it does not change it to blue. But if I go over to at formulas, we could say lower here. Now we are, if you look at this, I do have a $sign there, indicating that I want to use string interpolation. And by using curly braces, we can utilize PowerFX or any arguments and variables and all that type of good stuff. So now that I upgraded my function, oh, look at that. Now it works just fine. All right, let's look at this green color I have. Okay, I've got dark green. Let's just put the word green in there. Yeah, it looks nice. Now, what if I were to give it 00FF00? So the F's represent green. So that's almost too bright of a green. Now, if I had a rectangle here, there are green colors that look really nice. Like this one right here. Or this one. Let's go over to custom, and I want to work with this one, but maybe change it up a little bit, like maybe get a little bit closer there. I could take this hexadecimal value and put it right there. And that seems to work just great. All right. So something else I should probably do. Yeah, so if a hexadecimal is passed in here, it's going to make all of the alpha characters lowercase, which looks like that works just great there. All right. Now, I don't see any feedback from you guys as far as in things that you guys find challenging with Power Apps, but this is by far how I've made Power Apps easier on myself, which is do it once and so you don't ever have to do it again. Okay, so let's say I go over to my code snippets here and bring up my bookmarks, and here's the link to my snippets. Okay. What other things do we have? I've talked about this before, I believe, on the channel, but here in App on Air, I've got a whole block of code that handles all errors, and I love it. So if you go in here and you copy everything from this point right here all the way down to this, and I were to copy that, go into your App on Air and paste it here. And what this does, whenever an error occurs, it sends out an email, and it's got all the information about any of the errors that occurred within your app. Oh, doc type icons. Have you guys ever used a gallery to look at all the documents within a document library? Well, you might want to actually have icons for those things. So if you look at this, you can use this string here, and this is using SharePoint Online. And what you do inside these quotes is your file extension. So, for example, .zip, .xlsx, and that would give you those icons. So if I were to paste this here, and let's say doc, I need to take out these double quotes. Let me see about this. Open up a new screen. And of course, I'm going to need an image. I'll paste that in there. Okay, so the 24 needs to be there. Okay. Doc. Maybe it needs that X. Yeah, doc X. Zip. Isn't that cool? Something that I included, and I've started to put in these badges even in my documentation that I have. I created a user-defined function here called random screen transition. So I've got a menu component called side navbar. And inside of this, on the click event, if they click on a menu item, it's going to navigate off to that other screen. But look at what I use. This screen transition for the component. And it uses this. Okay. So if you want to sort of mix it up for your user, so you're not using the same screen transition all over the place, look at this. You could use this function to come up with a random screen transition. Okay, what other things do I have in my toolkit? Okay, what about all 140 web colors that we have in our color enumeration within Power Apps? We have them all defined in a collection like this. So you can get at the RGB value individually. You can get at the color value, the hex code, the name, the order, the category. I've got tags, complementary hex, and accent hex that you could get at. So I think this would make it easy to create color palettes. How about that? Now we do have our modern tab control. Now we did this, it might have been last Saturday or the Saturday before, where we used the modern tab control to create a menu. What about different connectors? So if you have some code that you always use, let's say in this case, the Office 365 Outlook, and you want to send an email, which normally I wouldn't have provided this because it's very simple. Okay, there's the to, there's a subject line, so on and so forth. But I wanted to have all the options sitting here for this fourth parameter that you provide as a record with these curly braces. And you see the sensitivity? Well, that comes in as a string. And these are the 4 different values that you could put in there. And here for the importance, you have low, normal, high. And I also like this spelled out like this because sometimes I get importance and sensitivity mixed up in my head. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but that sort of helps me with that. Office 365 users. Well, what if you need a combo box that you want to use as a people picker? So yeah, let's just copy this and see how this would work. Paste this code. All right. So I could type in Darren. Okay. Darren already popped up. Now I do see a property, display name. Yeah, that seems right. What else do we have going on here? It's not actually showing the display name. Just for a moment, I'm going to change this over to mail. You see that? Okay. I'm going to change this back to display name. I have noticed sometimes whenever you have YAML code, that you've captured, it doesn't always come over and work the way that you would want it to. For example, that just happened with this one. But if we go over to controls, where am I? There we go. There's controls. And you need an attachment control. Look how easy this is right here. I'm going to copy that. Go over to Power Apps, right click, paste the YAML code. What do we have? There is nothing attached. Okay. That doesn't seem bad, but how do I attach a file? I've looked through all these properties. There's nothing odd about these things, but for some reason, you have to bring over a form connected to a data source and then copy that attachment control from a form in order for it to work. And I've tried many times to find out what property is there, but it just seems to be a weird quirk with Power Apps. So I'm hoping that eventually that YAML code will work. Okay, check this out. An ASCII code checkerboard. Now I saw this. I really enjoyed Matthew Devaney's Twitter post, and he had one out there with like this checkerboard thing. And I think he had just all capital letters. And the one that I created had all of the characters in the ASCII table. So if I paste this in, there we go. So we have all the characters, including the numbers, the punctuation, and now maybe I want to start here. What number is that? Let's find out. And I believe that we have, yeah, we got the ASCII code and then we have the value. So I think what I'm going to do, insert a text label here. And I will use the color here. Yeah. Copy that. Because it needs to actually show up. If it's white foreground color on white background, then you're not going to see it, right? And instead of it showing the character here, I want it to show the ASCII code. Yeah. All right, there we go. So exclamation point starts with 33. And I might end on the tilde, 126. 33 to 126. All right, so what's 126 minus 33? I don't know. So I'll just make it calculate it for me. The start will be 33. And the end will be 126. Is that going to work? I think I did something wrong here. Actually, it would be the last one is just step. There we go. Okay. I sort of like that better rather than having all those weird characters in there. So I think I might actually let's add some documentation to this. So we'll say 33 what is that? Exclamation point? Yeah. These two numbers mark the beginning and end of the characters we're interested in. Okay, I like it. All right, so I'm going to right click on this, copy that code, and I'm going to open up my VS Code and go make sure that one is updated. So I like that a lot better. And right before I do that, I might want to add in, see how we got 0, 0 on the X and the Y. Let's go look at this width. Let's say parent.width, just in case you paste this into a screen, you want to take up the the full width and the full height, or if you paste into a container, it will take up all the space within that container. So let's do parent.height. Okay. Okay, I like it. Now, within a gallery, there is a property, and I need to find it, that will change the appearance of the items as you hover over them, which I think is nice to use. And I think it is transition. So here's yet another enumeration. We got push and pop. Let's have pop for this. Almost looks like they're all jumping around. That's a little weird. So let's change it to the other one. Now let me show you what this looks like for the menu. Do you see how it moves a little bit? See how it looks nice here? See how cutesy and demure it is? And even for these, let's take a look at this. So we got this transition, and let's do a pop. See how it moves around a little bit? Now, if this had a spacing of 2, that might actually look a little better. Yeah. And if we go over to pertinent links, and we change this one to the other, pop. So that one's pop. So we'll make this one push. And let's change the template padding to 2. It might look a little nicer that way. There we go. Uh-huh. I like that. Very good. Now, for you guys that are here live with me, what are those strategies, any tips, tricks, tactics that you use to make Power Apps development easier on yourself? I think this is by far the biggest way to make the development easier and faster, is to reuse the stuff that you've done that you feel like is you've done a good job at, and you've customized it to the point where if you were to do it in the future, that's how you would set it up again. Let me see if I have any other things out here. If you want a gallery with headings, let's try this out. Okay, now what's this guy doing here? Okay, gray. Let's say color dot light gray. There we go. Boom. Now, what's so nice about this, you might ask? Well, let's say you wanted this first heading to be a little more wide, and let's change that to 250. Notice what happened? it moved over all these other headings and these other columns here within the gallery. That saves a lot of time. And then this heading up here, I created that with a container, and it's got these headings in here. What other types of things do we have? Here's a responsive gallery. And it looks like, yeah, this was from Scott Duro's GitHub repository. So let's go take a look at his code here, this link. Yeah. So I'm going to copy this. Now, I might have made changes to mine I might have made changes in the one that I provided to be compatible with what I was using here. So sometimes I use constants that I've defined in at formulas for colors and stuff. I'm looking for something that I've used like this. But let's create a new screen and let's paste the code here. All right. And I can run this. And what does this look like on a phone? Okay. I think one of the issues is on the display. I don't want to lock the orientation. There we go. So I think I was expecting it to, well, yeah, there are some other properties that I would need to change up here. For example, on the display, I'd have to turn this some of these things off. Changing these can actually really mess with your app, so I almost don't want to mess with these. I'm going to turn this back on. Okay. What else do I have out here? A random photo. And yeah, this uses this person does not exist. But just check this out, how easy this is. Oh, I can't just paste there. I've got to do this. I'm not looking for that one now. Let's go over here. Now, we may not want to have this comment up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this here and paste this. There we go. Data sources, SQL Server. So I've got a model table that I like to create. You know how SharePoint will create a bunch of fields for you, like ID and created on, created by. Well, I like to do the same thing with my SQL Server tables. So if I want to create a new table, I'll use that. I've got some stuff out here for flows with SharePoint. So hopefully this is giving you guys lots of ideas and made Power Apps easier for you guys. This is what I do to make it easier for myself. So, hey, Amber, it's good to see you, man. Yeah. So just one more time, if you want that promo code to get the 5-day course for passing your PL 900, with that promo code, you get it as low as $297. And